ジローのこと結構好きだよ。
なんだよ。なんで急に名前なんか。好きってどういう。
ねえ、ジローは？
俺は。
You know, this anime really does keep getting better. Like, we are only on episode number 3, and I think, like, episode number 3 really, like, just hit this, like, anime out of the park. And the reason I say that, I'm gonna tell you guys straight up, like, right off the jump, too, is, like, there were so many things while watching this that I was saying out loud, expressing, writing down. I was kind of, like, typing as the anime was kind of, like, playing out and everything. And the anime, like this specific episode of A Married Couple, ended up kind of doing the things that I wanted it to do, and I really felt like it moved the needle forward for us as a viewer. It moved the needle forward for Akari and for Jirou, and I really kind of felt like everything began to mesh really well. So I'll kind of take you through like the emotions of everything, right? Episode opens up, then we immediately have Akari kind of grilling Jirou. What kind of girls do you like? What do men like? Blah 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 blah. And he kind of runs her through. Here's kind of things that typical men end up liking. He ends up landing on something that boys really like for the girls to do is to make a bento box, make them lunch, stuff like that. So that's where they land on. So her next mission is to make a bento for this Minami guy. So she goes out and she gets Jirou to help her make the bento. He lets her know like, oh, we really like the omelets to be like a little bit sweet, but she was like, oh, Minami's more refined than that. So one of the things that I had immediately noted down here is there's a clear difference in the relationships in kind of, so right now the way that we kind of have everything, right, is you have Akari and Jirou living together. Then on the opposite end we have Shiori and we have Minami living together, right? And the difference in the relationships is that Akari is going after Minami, and Jirou is in love with Shiori over here, right? But the thing is Jirou has been friends with Shiori since they were kids, so they've been childhood friends. So that love has had a ton of time to brew. They know a lot about each other. They spend a lot of time with each other. They can read each other's emotions, which we'll talk about later on. So you have all of that. On the opposite end, though, Akari has like a crush on this Minami guy. And overall, that's going to end up being a crucial plot line as this anime continues to open up. And I'll kind of say, a little bit later on why that's so important. So, Akari ends up, she makes the bento boxes and everything. We get to see a really cool back and forth between Jirou and his best friend. All funny. Jirou ends up eating the bento box that Akari makes. He lets her know again, like, hey, I would have still really loved this omelet to be sweet. She's like, it's not for you, blah, 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 blah. Then she's going to go and, she wears, skirt, really looks fantastic. She's going to go and give this bento over to Minami. And she asks of Jirou to do the goodbye thing, which is, the little kiss before they leave, which I was like, that's a weird thing to ask before you go and try and deliver a bento to this other guy. But regardless, Akari's feelings are very mixed, right? She's trying to put up this facade of still going after Minami, and in some way there is a little bit of truth there, but in reality, she's truly falling for our boy Jirou over here. Ends up getting kind of like interrupted by Shiori, because Shiori drops off some apple pies, and then she was like, oh, these are some extras that I had made for Minami. He really loves these things. He loves sweet things. And that kind of broke Akari there, because she was like, she's really realizing for the moment that she really didn't know him all that well. Then obviously she feels all in her feels. She feels very vulnerable. And that overall, I am a big fan of the way that they are depicting this story, the way that they're basically showing Akari and Jirou kind of like fall in love. This kind of love that you would never have seen it coming from a mile away. Anybody who goes to school with them, you have this girl, this bubblegum pop type girl, who is really giving this facade of being experienced and, what comes with that, right? Short, skimpy skirts, very revealing stuff. Like, she's just a magnitude of confidence. And on the opposite end, you have Jirou, who does have some redeeming and appealing things about him. He's tall, dark, not ugly, right? Maybe not handsome, but not ugly, you know, kind of keeps to himself, plays games. So you have these two opposites, but what they always say is opposites simply do attract. And that's exactly what's happening here. It's a slow burn and a slow story about opposites attracting. So I really love the way that they're doing these things. Now, I said earlier, like, okay, I was yelling and screaming some expletives of, like, him needing to, you know, hug her, use your words, let her know how you feel, let her know her worth, like, let her know all these things. And in the moment, obviously, he's a young dude. He got, you know, Akari threw herself at him. In those moments, I'm sure he had a jumbled mess of just feelings. So you definitely can sympathize with him and not being able to verbalize what he was trying to say in that moment. But I was like, dude, you need to do better. So the anime brings it home later, and that's why I say this is just so good. It's so good with storytelling. And if you stop watching right here, I think this episode was an easy 8.5 out of 10. There were some faults here, of course, but at the end of the day, like, this is a great anime, great showing so far. So easily 8 review, slap it on the score, 8.5 out of 10. Really great episode. So then, you know, I'm wanting them to kind of like wrap this up and everything. So what ends up happening is they split apart. You know, they spend some time apart. You know, their grade goes from, like, you know, like a level B, almost A, all the way down to E. Their relationship, they just lose points every single day. It completely gets destroyed. While they're doing this, on the opposite end, Shiori and Minami's goes to an A. So they make it to A, where they can go and switch with other partners and stuff. But these guys, they drop all the way down to E. And at this point, you know, this whole entire thing of Akari's eating him up inside. He knows he fucked up. He knows he messed up. He knows he could have done better. But it finally takes Shiori to go and talk to him and be like, yo, what is wrong? What's wrong with you? I know that something's wrong. He ends up really just being really real with her. And Shiori, in that moment, I was really proud of Shiori, too, because we know that she has a hidden agenda with him as well. But she was able to just really just be a friend for him in that moment. And I was like, that's awesome. She got him out of his funk. He goes to Akari. He pours his heart out to her, and the thing that I thought was the most special, right? Obviously, Akari was very nervous during this whole entire exchange, but the thing that I thought Jirou really hit it out the park was he was like, in that moment, it's not that I didn't want to. I would have ravaged you, but I care about you to where I wanted to have more care in that moment. Like, I wanted it to be more special, and in that heat of the moment, it wouldn't have been. So you know, he didn't say the words, but the meaning behind it is that if it does happen, I want it to be like this gentle experience. And I was like, that's my boy right there. You know, then he tries to kiss her, didn't work really well. He got the hands and stuff, but, you know, and then the episode ends with Akari kind of like thinking about the moment that she said in that moment, like, oh, I like you, Jirou. And she was like, I can't believe I said it. So I was like, yes, you said it. So really entertaining episode. Like, I laughed at all the best friend stuff. I was yelling at certain moments. You know, I was really deep into the screen, you know, when the whole entire Akari Jirou stuff happened. And I was even really proud of the Shiori stuff there that occurred as well. So really great episode. Really impressed me overall. I was very happy with how it came out and kind of came to fruition. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. As always, I appreciate you guys being here. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Peace.